we are extremely excited to have you, Anthony, as the endnote. I know that you've been in this space, both as a business person as well as an innovator for decades, and you've seen a lot of change that's happened in this space. I know you've been listening to the conversations, and I'd like to, for you to kind of tell us about your journey in growing a blockchain-based financial service business based both in Japan as well as what you've had to experience around the world, because we are actually, it's a global summit and you've experienced everything.
Yeah, the panels were amazing, different perspectives from around the world. And, Lonnie emphasized how we started here in Japan. And for those of you guys that didn't know, I didn't anticipate getting into the blockchain space. I just want that to be 100% clear. We're in the health and nutrition space. And because we're Americans, we're from California. And because we're Americans, we came to Japan and saw an opportunity that was wide open that nobody was looking at. And we capitalized on it with our health and nutrition products. And because we dominated and we were the fastest growing company of its kind in Japan, all the other Asian countries wanted our products. So we organically grew. So we have offices in the Philippines, Indonesia, Thailand, Hong Kong, Taiwan. And so, and it grew organically because of that. And when we were introduced to Bitcoin, I saw Bitcoin early on. I read the white paper, and then Mt. Gox was the first international recognized exchange in the world. And it came here in 2011, and we got involved in that. And I said, wow, this is something we want to implement into our business. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. I didn't even know anything about blockchain, but I read the peer-to-peer and I said, this is the future. And so we tried to implement that into our business, and it was extremely difficult with the wallets and the long addresses, and trying to get the regular people out there to understand this technology was really, really difficult. So the traders, what they tried to do is they did a pilot program here in Japan, and they went to Starbucks. I believe this was like 2014 or 15. They went to Starbucks and they said, oh, look, this is the new payment system. Let's go try it. And 45 minutes later, the coffee's cold and the transaction fee was $20. So it just blew everything out of the way. It was like, well, this is not working. So what we did was I read the white paper really intensely, and I said, I'm not a developer, but why can't we create something like this that caters to what we need in our business? And so that was the birth of RYO. And that's why we have been, as Lonnie mentioned, we have been working with the regulators in the Ministry of Health, and we just duplicated exactly what we're doing, what we did over there here. And we said, let's just do the same thing over here with the regulators. And it's been working. And I noticed that there's a lot of people talking about the sandbox, and I don't like to restrict myself to such a small space. By the way, when I was a kid, I always lost a lot of things in the sandbox. So I look at Japan as the whole country as a sandbox, and we get to play in this sandbox, and we get to, as Hiro mentioned, with our exchange called CoinHub. He's the representative director. Hiro took a very controversial, I couldn't believe he said that on the call, but we do feel this way. I'm not a regulator and I'm not a developer. What I am is a marketer. And I think that, Jackie, when we met at BFC, you saw me on the stage. What I said is too many developers are talking about how great their technology is, but they're not addressing it, how to get it to grandma and grandpa. How do we use that? How do we get the blockchain technology that Bitcoin promised to be able to get it down to like using a credit card? Whenever we use a credit card, we don't think about, I want to make sure that this thing is, who's operating in the back end. We don't know. We just use the Visa and MasterCard rail. And I said, we need to approach this from consumer first and let the technology lead to where the consumer's at, instead of creating this awesome technology and trying to force it down people's throat on why it's going to work. And so that's why we've been very successful, because we've been doing seminars all over Japan and educating people on why this technology is important and why they need to, and how they're going to be able to onboard it in simple verticals that they're familiar with, like ATMs. They're prevalent all over Japan. So we're launching an ATM network. We bought an exchange. I don't like being beholden and and kiss the ring of an exchange to please let me list on your exchange. I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. We're buying our own exchange. So we're going to dictate our own future. So we bought the exchange not to compete with the other exchanges. We bought our exchange because it had a crypto ATM license tied to it. So it was actually our exchange license it's like the grandchild of Mt. Gox. So it was Mt. Gox, and when Mt. Gox closed down in 2014, it became OK Gox, and then OK Gox became BitOcean, and then we acquired that only because I saw, this is the on and off ramp for day-to-day use with crypto, and we got that license. And I didn't want to get into the exchange business because I said, look, let all those guys go out and dig for gold. We're going to sell the shovels. And so that's what we are. We're just the intermediary between the exchanges and the consumer. And we're like eBay, there's the buyer, there's the seller, and we go between and we get a transaction fee. And that is the way I believe in order for us to make blockchain, accepted crypto for the masses, you really got to break it down to that level. And we have successfully, and we're constantly running into roadblocks. But we have to educate the regulators, and we go back and say, here's what we're going to do. There's a lot, we say in America, it's better to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission. And so that's the approach I take. I always go out there and I just go, let's just try it, man, and figure it out. And then I have Hero and our legal team. You guys figure it out. I'm going this way. You guys figure it out and make sure that, and let them know that this is what we're doing. And if there's any issues, we'll slow down, back off, and take a different direction. In Japan, what's so unique is, the Japanese culture in total, they can't say no. So the Japanese people never say no. They always say, well, think about it. Oh, interesting. When you're in a negotiation, which means no, but with the FSA, we have never got that. With the FSA, they look at our business plan. They look at what we're doing. The JVCA, we collaborate, and they go, continue. And that's a great sign because they're looking at us as a working sandbox. We're kind of like the guinea pigs, and we're going out there and doing it from a consumer perspective. So we want to. There's PayPal here. There's PayPay, which is SoftBank's biggest payment system here. There's Passmo. There's Suica. These are all digital payment systems, and those systems are centralized. I said, we're just going to be another one of those payment systems, but the back end just happens to be blockchain. That's it. But in the front end, we are not going to talk about that technology. We're just going to talk about the transparency, the convenience of using the technology. I'm kind of like 2 steps ahead of regulation. So we work in tandem, but I'm 2 steps ahead. And I always try to stay ahead, and because I don't want the competition to know what we're doing. I want to make sure we're ahead of the game. And so far, we're way ahead of the game because everybody has different silos on how they think. What we have done is we've created we're launching the Global Mall, which is an e-commerce platform that's crypto centric. You're going to be able to buy and sell using crypto, whether it's stable coins or whatever the other coins that we have here in Japan that are approved. And then we have a Life Wallet, which we have our own super app. That's not only just a digital asset wallet, a crypto wallet, but you're going to be able to I can send Matt, for example, a Bitcoin through text without having the long address. And I always get afraid whenever I do a Bitcoin transaction. I always make sure because I'm so paranoid that if I did one thing off, Matt's going to get that Bitcoin that I didn't want to send to Matt. I wanted to send to you and I messed up. You see what I mean? And so now we're in the back end, we're tying it to to text, so I can text it to you. And this app is also going to be able to play movies, download messaging. And stocks, bonds, commodities. That's on phase 2. So that's launching. Actually, the app we just got approved by Apple. It was an arduous approval process. It took like 4 months for them to go through. At first, when they first saw it, that it was just a messaging app, they said, "Oh, okay, we're going to get you approved back." And then in December, they said, "We have a little problem." And then by Christmas, they said, "Oh, okay, we're going to get you approved." Then they found out how deep our stack was on the wallet, and they said, "Okay, we're going to have to go through that real deeply and make sure that we're compliant to offer in the App Store." We finally got approval. We're on there. Unfortunately, it's not for the world yet. We're doing it in Japan. We're launching it in Japan. you can go to the App Store and see the Life Wallet, but it's in Japan, and then we're going to roll it out once we launch it in Japan successfully, because again, Japan is the incubator. We're going to test it here, and just like we did with our nutritional products in Japan. I'm, as an American, I know this may sound a little crude, but I say you kill the shogun, you win the war. So Japan is the shogun of Asia. So when you kill it here, our system is going to be adopted in all the areas we are in our nutritional business. And so and then on top of that, we got the crypto ATM network that kind of ties the whole ecosystem together. So people are going to be able to go on the wallet. They're going to be able to go to the ATM network. And this is not like an ATM in America. This is an in and out ATM, cash in, cash out. And that ATM in the future, we're selling the shovels rather than compete with Bitflyer and Coincheck and all the other big exchanges here. We're going to host them on our ATM network and get a fee by the transactions they're doing, like eBay. So that's it in a nutshell. I think what's going to happen, and what's already happening, is we're looking at the Philippines. We're getting a lot of traction in the Philippines, and that's one of the hottest growing crypto markets in the world right now. And the reason why is because they saw that we were jumping over these extreme hurdles in Japan, and so it's going to be a cakewalk over there. And now that Trump's in office, whether the audience loves Trump or hates him, I love him because what he's doing with the crypto space, and we feel that once we lock it here in Japan, we will have a major play into America. And then once you have a major play into America, you get the world. And that's the play. I think that in the blockchain space, the problem that we face, and I see it every day still now, is that we live in a little echo chamber where developers just talk to each other and develop apps to cater to this echo chamber. And so like in Japan, for example, as Hiro mentioned, there's 11 million registered accounts across all exchanges, for people that are trading crypto. There's only 500,000 to 750,000 active users of those 11 million accounts. And when you think about that, you go, and Japan has 123 million people. And even if those 11 million were active, dude, you're missing out on 90% of the population that's not in the exchanges. And we want to address those people. Yes, we're going to get the traders because they're going to see our user interface and see how simple it is. And I'll say, oh my God, how come nobody's doing this? But we want to get mom and pops. I want to be able to, we have a running joke here in our office. I said, it has to be rice ball friendly. We need to be able to go to the convenience store and go beep, beep with our RYO Pay. We're launching a stable coin here. We have RYO Coin. For those of you guys that are interested, RYOCoin.com. We have RYO Coin. And then we have RYO Pay that's going to be a stabilized unit where you're just going to be able to go beep, beep, grab your rice ball and go. If we can't get it down to that level, there's no point in all the technology that's behind it. And I think that's the missing point. The elephant in the room is that developers need to develop, but they don't lead. The lead needs to be marketing. Marketing needs to lead. Like Red Bull. Red Bull was in a lot of Americans don't know. Red Bull was invented in Thailand, and it wasn't until somebody came in from Europe and saw Red Bull and said, "That's a great product. We need to market it," and they market it to the masses. And hence, Red Bull is number one energy drink in the world. So we are marketers. So that's what we're leading with. Marketing. We hire the best developers behind us to make sure that the vision of our marketing and our reach is met. And I think in doing that, I believe that we're going to be able to dominate around the world with our projects. And we're also, by the way, I know I'm doing a elevator pitch here. We're also launching RYO-CHAN is a meme token. As you guys know, the meme token craze went crazy with the Trump coin and everything else, but the market has crashed. Why? There's no utility in the coins. And I always looked at that, and I look at holes in things. Whenever I look at the market, I don't look at how great things are. I look at the holes that are missing. How come nobody's doing that? And so I said, we need to create a meme token, which is called RYO-CHAN, at RYO-CHAN.com. And we need to create a meme token that has utility. And our meme token is a smart contract analysis meme token, and it does AI portfolio management. So you're going to be able to use this RYO-CHAN token and do those things within that ecosystem. But most importantly, you're going to be able to take that over into the Life Wallet, the Global Mall, and the ATM network. and it's going to be all tied together, utility to the masses. The problem with regulators, and again, I'm on the other side of the fence. I need regulators. They're a necessary evil to me. They're like lawyers. Hero's my attorney. Hiroshi's my attorney. Necessary evil. And but the regulators, the problem with the regulators, they come from the old guard. And this technology is moving so fast that when you bring them this technology, they can't understand. This is why it was so refreshing to see David Sachs come on board as the crypto czar, because he's bringing a whole different perspective that the bureaucrats don't understand. And he's going to try to teach these bureaucrats, this is the way. God, he's going directly to the top, which is amazing. That's what needs to happen around the world. No matter how much everyone's talking about the sandbox and we're going to do this and mass adoption, if we don't get the regulators to understand that this thing is, and understand that the pace and speed of this technology, it's never going to move. And that's the problem. And what we're here in Japan, I tell you, it's like gnashing teeth for me when I deal with these regulators, because you know, and I'm not a spring chicken, you guys. I'm 61 years old, so I'm kind of long in the tooth already, but I'm not old like they think. And these guys are in their 50s and 40s. I'm like, dude, you guys are like ancient. You guys are like Jurassic Park. You can't get out of your old way of thinking. This new technology is transforming so quickly. And that's why the SRO, that Hiro said, the self-regulatory organizations like the JVCEA, it's very necessary in all countries, I believe, because those are the people that have boots on the ground, that understand what's going on, and they can educate the regulators and let us entrepreneurs keep moving forward and being pioneers and go to where we need to go. I believe, I've been predicting this, I believe that we're going to see a major shift in the crypto market. I believe a lot of the altcoins, you know, I'm old enough to know, and I got burned during the dot-com craze. And right now, what I see with everybody launching the meme coins and all the altcoins and everyone's launching, it's kind of like the dot-com. Remember the sock.com and pet.com and that everyone, anybody that put a .com, everyone was throwing money at it. I think those days are I think this year you're gonna see a lot of cleansing in the market, which is needed. There's gonna be a lot of culling, and we need it because we need the actual companies that are here for the people to make impactful change around the world, to flourish and get rid of all the crap, that the weeds that are choking them out. And until we get there, Matt, I think that you know, the scams, you know, I see like in Dubai, the regulatory compliance in Dubai is great. It is. It really is. But because it's so lax and so great and so easy, it also fosters scams. There's a lot of scams, and Japan's watching that. The regulators are watching Dubai, and they're like, no, we're not going to do Dubai. Give you an example real quick. FTX collapsed all around the world, right? They opened up, FTX acquired a company here called Liquid Japan. It was an exchange, and FTX bought it over. And then they brought their clients over to FTX. The United States government came in after that whole debacle collapsed. They came in and they tried to seize the money over here in FTX Japan. And Japan goes, you're not touching this money. This belongs to our people, and we're going to cut it off from you guys. We don't care about what's happening with FTX Global. We need to protect our own. And see, that's why I love working with the JVCA and Japan, because it allows us a little bit more latitude and a little bit more freedom to take risks. And I think that, I don't think that mass adoption is going to happen this year, but I think this year is going to be an inflection point to get there. I think in the next 5 years, the landscape that we see right now with the advent of AI coming on board, it's going to, we are in the Stone Age today, and we think we're so far out. But I'm like, dude, in the next 2 years, it's going to dwarf what happened the last 10 years with AI. And so we need to keep up with that. And that's what we're addressing that with my developers to make sure that we're on the forefront of that in light of the regulations here in Japan, to make sure that we can capitalize on that, not just for our project, but hopefully set example to the world. And, you know, Jackie and I really hit it off at BFC because I saw what she was doing, and I said, wow, BLI is exactly what we're doing over here with the JVCEA. Remember, Jackie? And we hit it off, and I said, we need to bring some of the ideas that's working here in Japan and see if we can create that kind of framework in America, being an American, I want to go back and play in America sandbox. I don't want to just stay in Japan. I want to go global, and America is going to be our next major stop. Soon as we kill the shogun here, and that's what I see. I really see that. I appreciate all the panelists. My gosh, I learned so much from different parts of the country, and what it did is it validated what we were doing.
Exactly.
When I saw what everyone's doing, it validated what we're doing. I was like, yes, we're still on track. Our goal, you guys, just like the 5 fiats out there, you know, there's United States dollar, Japanese yen, Chinese RMB, you know, the euro and the British pound. Those are the 5 fiats that are very powerful. Our goal is to be one of the top 5 like that, to represent Japan. We want to represent Japan's Bitcoin. That's why RYO Coin is Japan's Bitcoin, the way the white paper was supposed to be with the peer-to-peer. And we're trying to make that become a reality. And I think we're doing a pretty good job so far.